How's it going, fellas? My name's Andy, and today we're gonna take a look at Lou Williams. At 31 years old and in his 13th season in the NBA, he's playing the best basketball of his entire life. He's currently putting up career highs in points, assists, minutes, and three-point percentage, and it's without question the best season of his career. But the journey for Sweet Lou wasn't easy. For the most part, his time in the NBA has had its ups and downs. The word inconsistency is the most common thing that people use to describe Lou's game. Sometimes he plays like he's the best player on the floor, but other times, not so much. He's the prime example of a hot and cold type of player. And if you combine that with the idea that he's basically a 6'1" shooting guard with poor defense, it's no surprise Lou has been a bench player for most of his career. Anyway, let's take a look at the events that led to where Lou Williams is right now. At the end of high school, Lou was named Mr. Georgia Basketball and the Naismith Prep Player of the Year in 2005. Rivals.com ranked him as the 7th best player in the country. With a successful high school career under his belt, Lou declared for the 2005 NBA Draft, which unfortunately did not work out too well for him. According to some executives from a couple of different teams, Lou did not impress them at the draft combine, like at all. He apparently performed very poorly in his workouts. As a result, his draft stock drastically fell, and the Sixers were able to pick him up with the 45th overall pick. So at least he still got drafted, which is cool. Lou barely played in his rookie season, only appearing in 30 games and averaged just 1.9 points per game. In his sophomore season, he was sent to the D-League. Around this time, the Sixers were still led by Allen Iverson, but he was getting kinda old and the team wasn't doing so well. The Iverson era was coming to an end, and the Sixers traded him near the beginning of the 2006-07 season. This was actually great news for Lou, because he got called up from the D-League and the Iverson trade allowed him to get more playing time. He'd stay in Philly for a total of 7 seasons and made a name for himself as one of the best bench scorers in the entire league. But the thing is, he really wasn't anything more than that. Occasionally, he'd have like a 30-point game, which made people believe that he had the talent to become a superstar. But then other games, he'd shoot like 2 for 10 from the field and score 5 points. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, he was very inconsistent, especially when he was younger. From 2008 to 2012, his best years in Philly, he averaged over 13 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists on 42% shooting. Lou was inefficient from the floor, but keep in mind, he was a master at drawing fouls, which bumped up his overall scoring efficiency. With just 25 minutes per game, he averaged over 4 free throw attempts. And as his career progressed, his craftiness in drawing fouls and his ability to bait his defenders into reaching got better and better. His most memorable moment with the Sixers happened in the 2011 playoffs against the Miami Heat. Lou hit a game-winning three-pointer to help the Sixers win Game 4, although they would lose the series in 5 games. Throughout his years with the Sixers, Lou was also a perennial 6th Man of the Year candidate. He was always in the running for the award, but didn't win it until later in his career. Anyway, after his Sixers days were over, he signed with the Atlanta Hawks in the 2012 offseason. He continued his play off the bench, but unfortunately he tore his ACL halfway through that season. It took him a while to regain his form. In the 2013-14 season, right after recovering from his surgery, Lou had his worst scoring season since his sophomore year, averaging only 10 points a game. And then later on, he got traded to the Raptors, which would be a blessing in disguise. In Toronto, he experienced a resurgence and finally won the 6th Man of the Year award. Over the next few years, Lou would get traded a couple of more times as well, and he could never find a permanent home. He signed with the Lakers, but then at the 2017 trade deadline, the Lakers traded him away even though he was having an amazing season. He was averaging 19 points off the bench, but I guess the Lakers felt like he was helping them win too many games. Everyone knew that the Lakers were trying to tank at that time, but Lou was single-handedly winning them games, so yeah, that combination did not work out. So near the 2017 trade deadline, Lou found himself in Houston, where he was alright. He had a couple of good games, but overall he was still the same player he was back in Philly. However, right now, after getting traded to the Clippers, he looks like a legitimate star. Recently, he exploded for 50 points against the Warriors, who had one of the best defenses in the league. Although he's in his 13th season in the NBA, this is by far the best version of him I've ever seen. I know that this is a huge contract year for him, and he's playing for a big contract this summer. But still, it's amazing how consistently great he is this season. In addition to his on-court success, Lou also has a very interesting life off the court. For a period of time, he apparently had 2 girlfriends at the same time, and they both knew about it. Drake even referenced him in a song when he was with the Raptors. But his most interesting off-court moment happened when he was still in Philly. In 2011, a guy who was armed with a gun tried to rob him. But then he realized that it was Lou Williams and he was a big fan of him. So instead, Lou and the robber talked it out and everything was fine. Lou even bought him a meal at McDonald's, so that's pretty cool. Yup, there you have it. That sums up the journey of Lou Williams. A player who came out of high school with some high expectations, but he had a slow start to his NBA career. Over the years, he's gotten better and better and continued to work on the things that he was good at, which is basically getting buckets. The good thing about Lou is that he doesn't try to do anything he's not capable of, which is something that many other players have problems with. Lou has embraced his role as the 6th man from a very young age, and that's been his identity throughout his NBA career. And I've said this before, he's just a professional scorer. Although he still makes his fair share of mistakes and does not really do anything else besides scoring at a high usage, and maybe make the occasional pass, but teams have accepted him for who he is. There are times when he can carry an entire offense and win a game by himself. But there are other times where he can shoot his team out of a game very quickly. Either way, man, he's fun to watch when he gets going. Not bad for a 45th overall pick. That's all, folks. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed that video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.